Hi everyone, it's Jane. Today is December the 16th, Monday, and it's been an interesting Monday for me. First, I'm going to show you those items that are behind my chair. Once again, this was a mandala when I was trying to do one thing out of scraps every day. Um, and this was one of the things that I did. I just found one of these, had the old hoop, and made that to hang on the wall. The Afghan that's on the back of my chair is a mandala blanket that I did quite a few years ago. And it is it Helen Shrimpton that does the Cosmic Cow and some of those other big, massive blankets? Well, I've thrown it on the back of my chair because I don't want to get rid of it. I don't want to give it away. It was a lot of work. I had a lot of fun. I learned some new stitches in this cow, and I'd have to go look at the page to tell you which one it was, which I will do that and leave that link down below. Right now I'm just have it over my feet, my legs. It's cold in the house. My husband has, I'm sure most men do, but my husband has always been fascinated with weather, and he likes to know what it is outside. So we've got one of those temperature gauges that sits outside and records the weather and the temperature and the time. And then it also tells you what it is inside. Well, inside it's sitting over there on the other side of the room where the two heaters meet. So over there it says it's 71 degrees. But over here in my chair, where I get this lovely breeze, and it feels like a breeze that comes from the kitchen through to this front door, because both of those doors, even though we've asked the landlord to weather strip and everything else, they still have gaps about like this under the doors that the air comes through. So it's probably 67 over in my corner of the room. He's like, I don't know why you're cold. Like I'm sitting in my chair for 30 minutes. So, yeah. And I will tell you about the interesting thing today. I'm going to explain a little bit and then show you some video and then come back and explain a little bit more, and then I'll just play the other video behind it. Today they had arranged for, in our area we have a manufacturing company called First Quality, and First Quality makes paper products. They make paper towels, toilet paper, feminine hygiene products, those kind of things. They needed to get a spare dryer drum because one of the original ones that they'd gotten about 15 years ago, every once in a while has a couple of issues, so they want to have a spare one on hand so that they can have it ready to go if something happens to the other one instead of having to wait. Now, these drums are actually manufactured in Italy. It comes by freight ship, and it came directly to Erie, Pennsylvania, into the port, and it has traveled from Erie, Pennsylvania, through 9 counties to get to its home in the Lock Haven, Castania area. Now, when it left Erie, it's on this big, huge, heavy loader truck. And Dana, yes, I was thinking about you, because I was like, how would she like to haul that load? But it can only go about 15 miles per hour. Occasionally, if it's got a good downhill, it can probably do about 30 is what one of the troopers was telling us on the interstate. So it came all the way on the interstate. They planned and they found there was an area they could get off at the Lamar exit in outside of us. That's probably about 2 or 3, 4 miles up the road. And from there, they could make it down that road, but they have to close the road completely because it spans the entire span of the road. So they had to stop traffic, flow to a certain area, and then they stopped traffic flow from a certain area to where I was located. So we're at the fire hall exercising, and it was expected to go past us, get to first quality about 10:30 in the morning. So our exercise normally runs about 9 to 10, and then afterwards we sometimes play marbles, till about noon. And all of a sudden we see all these trucks pulling up into the parking lot. And while they're in the parking lot, they're blocking us so we can't get out. And it was PP&L and some of the electric companies, electricians that were working with PP&L. They were setting up for it to come down the road because they had to use the bucket and poles to raise the wires so that there isn't an issue so it can get under it. So as you see some of the video, what happens first when it's coming down that road is the state police come through so they can block ahead. Behind it is, normally what you would call a pacer car, but it's not really a pacer car. It's one of the heavy load companies' trucks, and it has this big long pole in front of it. And what that pole does is it marks along whether or not they can get down underneath the wires and the light post and all those kind of things. And then I show you a little bit of that, and then the actual dryer going past us. Now I have removed the sound from those videos, simply because there's a lot of chit chat. And you really can't hear me over the sounds of the engines anyway. So that's why there's a little, I'm just going to play some other kind of music during that paint. Maybe the Dance of the Fairies or whatever. But I kind of panned down the road. There's a shop that's a little ways down the road. It's called Ice Shack, and it's run by the Mennonites for the boys' camp. And there were about 6 or 7 vans that were loaded up with Amish who wanted to see this go by. And it is an amazing sight to see. Like I said, it's crazy. They have 3 drivers so that they can switch off as they need to. They do stop and rest, but I'm not real sure if they have to follow that mandated hours that they have to stop moving, because they do have 3 drivers. So maybe Dana in one of her videos can explain that to us, whether they would have to if they were doing that kind of tandem driving. But it goes 15 miles per hour. Like I said, came through 9 counties. And of course, through Erie, they had to go through all that snow and everything that was up there. So, and in the video, you'll see a couple of people waving as the truck goes by because the truck driver was honking at all of us. And we had kind of joked after it had passed, maybe we should have had candy to throw at the truck drivers. And we also joked about, because so many people were along the road and coming up behind us in the parking lot for the Senior Center Fire Department. That we should have been selling hot chocolate and coffee and made a few dollars. So we're, joking about that. And then there's video where I am sitting there watching, and it's basically a full video of them trying to get around that corner. It's a turn they have to make to get up through the roads. One of the PP&L guys who was finishing up some of the things, because he was keeping us apprised of what was going on, telling us all along, that it's not down this way yet. It was supposed to be in our area at 10 o'clock. Took it a little while to get there. So he had made a point of telling us, he said, they're stuck at the corner, and you'll see where the truck with the pole, to see if it can get under the pole. It could easily get under the pole of the traffic light, but the traffic lights hung down too low. And they did not notify PennDOT. They go from the pole length as to whether or not you can get under for the clearance. They don't always include, when they did this, they did not include the clearance to clear under the traffic light itself. So what they had to do is PP&L had to go and for about 4, 5, 6 lights, they actually had to raise the traffic lights up so it could clear the traffic lights. And also on top of that, this year they repaved that road, and the clearance was a little different than what it was stated. And I'm sure the owner of First Quality is not real thrilled, because he actually pays for the entire thing, for the use of PPL, everything, all the way, through. So, I'm sure he wasn't pleased. But they did finally get there, and then I show you video, and I just do go ahead and talk where I'm in the car, where they actually get up onto 220, going the opposite direction. They went on to what is normally the off-ramp of 220 coming from Williamsport. They went the opposite way of that ramp. They had blocked the entire interstate off for that area to get it through to the Castanea area, because there's an underpass if you go on the correct side of 220 that the truck will be traveling, that it would not get under, it would not be able to get under. But the way that they went, going that way and then using the on-ramp from Lock Haven, they could clear. There were no wires or lights or anything for them to worry about. Now, the other problem that they ran into is there is a way to get to Castanea, but you have to go down and you have to hit an area that has stop signs. Then you have to go down a little ways around, and you're kind of going back ways around small roads. So it would probably be taking them another 2 hours to 3 hours to get there finally. But it is a big deal. It is something that there was one other one that was brought in I think 2004, and this was a spare, like I said. So it was a big thing. There were a lot of people watching. A lot of people crowded into the Walmart and Ruby Tuesday to watch it get onto the interstate. I mean the 220 highway. So, I mean, it was just one of those things, and it was interesting because I couldn't go anywhere. I needed to stop at the bank. The bank was in between there, and I could have gone another route that took me way out around town to get home, but since I needed to go to the bank as well, I kind of had to wait it out. And so it took me until 12:30 before they finally got up onto the interstate before I could get moving, get to the bank and then get home. So it was rather interesting to watch all of that. So I'll insert that video here, and if you don't want to watch it, you're done. Talk to you later. Bye. Did want to come back and tell you that I obviously decided not to come back and break in between and explain a little more. I'm just going to show it all the way through around that corner, and then you'll get to see the added part where I'm behind it trying to get to the bank until it finally gets up onto 220.
sing glory to the newborn King. Peace on earth and mercy mild, God and sinners reconciled. Joyful all ye nations rise, join the triumph of the skies. With angelic hosts proclaim, Christ is born in Bethlehem. Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Hail the heaven-born Prince of Peace, hail the Son of Righteousness. Light and life to all he brings, risen with healing in his wings. Mild he lays his glory by, born that man no more may die, born to raise the sons of earth, born to give them second birth. Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Peace on earth and mercy mild, God and sinners reconciled. Joyful all ye nations rise, join the triumph of the skies. With angelic hosts proclaim, Christ is born in Bethlehem. Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Hail the heaven-born Prince of Peace, hail the Son of Righteousness. Light and life to all he brings, risen with healing in his wings. Mild he lays his glory by, born that man no more may die, born to raise the sons of earth, born to give them second birth. Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Peace on earth and mercy mild, God and sinners reconciled. Joyful all ye nations rise, join the triumph of the skies. With
I'm going to say. Christmas Eve is coming soon. Now are you, dear old man? Whisper what you bring to me. Tell me if you can. When the clock is striking 12, when I'm fast asleep, down the chimney broad and black, with your pack you'll creep. All the stockings you will find hanging in a row. Mine will be the shortest one, you'll be sure to know. Johnny wants a pair of skates, Susie wants a sled, Nellie wants a storybook, one she hasn't read. Now I think I'll leave to you what to give a rest. Choose for me, dear Santa Claus, what you think is best. Jolly old Saint Nicholas, lean your ear this way. Don't you tell a single soul what I'm going to say.